What you said, Claire, really resonated with me about collaborations and how we are made better by them. But I do believe that there is this maybe, I don't know if misunderstanding around it, but I mean, you don't even have to be best friends. We were made to connect with each other. It can help you bring out things that you didn't even think that you have hiding there.
Welcome to another episode of Brushing Up, and today we're going to talk about the Sketchbook project, which is what Cody and Elena did together. Cody, can you start us off by telling us a bit about the Sketchbook project?
Actually, I think Elena's the one that introduced me to this. She came across this Sketchbook project from My Giant Strawberry by Dana Barbier and Anne Butera. It was called the 2x2 Sketchbook Project. And you told me about it, and we just thought it was so cool. And then we said we should just do this. And we each bought the same sketchbook at the same time. And then we decided ahead of time, like, that Elena would do the right-hand sided of the pages and I would do the left-hand sided. So we would each fill up the entire sketchbook on our assigned sides, and then we would mail it to each other and respond to each other on the opposite spread. And it was so fun. I got so much out of it. I think we both did in the end because we talked about it since.
I love the fact that you were so open to it. When we brought it up and we started talking about it, we got excited about it. There is a lot that I felt like I discovered myself. And I got to know you better through the stuff that you created and then even the responses to the artwork. And I felt like it really pushed me. I feel like as artists, we end up thinking through, okay, how can I monetize this? And this project was an opportunity to step outside of that and just really create from a place of joy and no pressure. And the funny thing is that so much of it turned into portfolio pieces. I feel like for myself, it moved me forward creatively and it opened new doors and windows for creativity. And I explored things that I didn't think of before.
Yeah, I would say definitely same. This came, I think when you suggested it, it was right after I had a major health thing going on in my life. And so when you suggested it, it was like the perfect timing for me to kind of just dive into this. That's really what helped me kind of work through everything. But then you did things that I never would have thought of, and how you responded to things in ways I wouldn't have thought of. So that was really fun and I really enjoy it. And I would like to get back to it as well. So yeah, there's just a lot of different ways that I think it helped. A lot of the stuff I didn't intend to use for my portfolio, but a lot of the stuff from the sketchbook that I did for yours, I think I ended up turning into portfolio pieces.
I wanted to ask because I didn't actually know. Did you know each other before you started the project?
Yeah, so my job before I worked for myself, imaging, it's a national photo lab here in the US. So I was working as a graphic designer and illustrator. I was managing their template store that they had for photographers that they could buy. Elena was one of the first artists that we brought in to create designs for that. We started working together and just kind of developed a friendship from there. And then later when I became an art buyer, transitioned to that art buyer position, she's one of the artists that we brought on board to create artwork and designs for MPix, the sister brand of Miller's. We just continued talking and became friends. And then when I left, we decided to become accountability partners. I think even before then, though, when I started first getting interested in surface pattern design before I left. So yeah, I think we've known each other for, I think it's been more like 15 maybe. Almost.
That's so amazing that you were already kind of coming up with ideas and it was already like a realization of we need to do something together. This is the time.
I feel like that after stop working for them, it was even more of an intentional connection between the two of us. We talked a lot about, you create art to pay the bills. And there's a lot of projects that are close to your heart and you don't necessarily dive into them because for me, there seems to be this thing where you do the things that are going to sell. And then there are these other things that are your dreams and you're not quite sure about them. And the things that you're more sure about, those always take your best energy. And the other things kind of fall in the background. And it was that we wanted to pursue more And at the same time, we were thinking about ways of how can we make those things turn into something more than just a passion project. But we only met once during that whole time.
How far away are you guys? Where are you based again, both of you?
So I'm in Missouri, and Elena, she's in North Carolina now, but she was in Oregon, which is on the West Coast. So she's a lot closer now.
We have a trip planned for next year to get together.
Yes, an art retreat.
That's awesome. I think also what makes this project so special is that I like what you said, Elena, about like a lot of art. As artists, we often have to kind of think about what can we monetize? And I think especially in surface design, this happens a lot because you have to pay the bills. But also art is very solitary because you have to think about, I have to make something and then the money has to come back, right? But what makes this so special is that it was a collaboration between two people. And I think because you're putting these things together, you're taking away the aspect of like, well, it needs to make money first. Firstly, it's about that collaboration. And you mentioned, Cody, where you got the inspiration from this project. What was like the moment that you were like, okay, we're going to do this? How did that process start?
I think Elena suggested it because we would meet regularly over Skype to talk, and we just decided, okay, we're just going to do this. Then I think we set parameters, right, Elena? We were like, okay, it's going to be open.
Yes, we talked about, I remember that we spent, I think, did we do a Trello board where we put ideas up and kind of brainstormed, and then we came up with thoughts on, what the theme should be?
We've done a couple that we started, but we haven't finished yet, that those have themes. But this one I think was open because I don't remember us deciding on a thing. It was more like, okay, we're going to make sure specific book that is mixed media so we can do whatever we want.
Yeah, you're right.
So what was that like to send your sketchbooks back and forth? We're talking physical sketchbooks and you're sending these across a few states. What was that like?
We decided to fill up the whole book, each one of us, and then when we were done, we swapped the books. And, you can choose, is it going to be a month? Or are you giving yourself 2 months? Or are you giving yourself a year? It doesn't matter how long or how short it is, as long as you're agreeing on it. It was so exciting. I remember even now, I feel still unbelievable to hold the sketchbook and have originals that you have in your portfolio. It just feels like I'm holding the treasure. It grows an appreciation for the other person's artwork. I feel like for me, it did that with you. Just seeing your artwork, and it's really, really special having something that is created by somebody else and it's close to their heart, because it's not like, we were talking a little earlier about art that comes from a place of joy. And that to me feels much more special than something that you make thinking, okay, how can I be marketable? I think that just embracing where you're at and going with it for what it is, fun, and an experience of sharing art with somebody else. I feel like when I embrace that, that's when the best pieces came out to life.
So the plan was basically to kind of respond to the other person's artwork. Was it supposed to be that the two pages were kind of related, or completely whatever just spoke to you?
I think so. It kind of was a little bit like whatever you wanted, but at the same time, there was a little bit, I think, of a tie throughout with how you were choosing to respond to what was on the page.
Yes, it was. Everything was a response to every piece that I created was a response to the piece that was there in front of me for the day. But with the collage, I remember finding it. It's so simple when you see something, just a color or an illustration or a painting of something specific. You get a gut reaction much easier, I feel like. But your pieces felt so complex and so deep to me. For the collage pieces specifically, I really had fun with it. And some of my most favorite pieces came from just looking at the piece.
That's what I was going to ask you next, Elena, is how different is it to create when you already have like one piece next to you? Like, is it easier to respond, to start creating that way?
When you don't have anything, when the page is empty, you can get that, it stares you in the face, don't know what to do next. But when you have something that you're responding to, I think it comes down to the subject matter. Sometimes I responded to graphic elements that I saw in your piece. I just remember that when I first got your sketchbook, I literally sat down and I took sticky notes and I was like, oh, I'm going to plan what I'm going to do for each one of them. As the weeks went by, I didn't feel the same way about some of the pieces, or I saw something else in there that gave me a different idea. One of the lessons was just go with it, like embrace the process. And for some of them, I followed what I initially wrote down. And for some of them, I just said, okay, no, this is not it today.
I think that's
Yes.
something that we look for very often as artists or creators, to kind of, when we get very stuck, to find any kind of way to just, enjoy creating again and being flexible and just seeing what happens in a moment. But that can be really difficult to do.
I found a new style that I would have never explored, and just ink illustration. I started that in my sketchbook, and then I continued in the responses to your sketchbook, Cody, because
You did.
yeah. And actually, with the sketchbook that I did as a response to your artwork, I just chose to go all ink illustrations because I enjoyed so much. I think I did that as a way to simplify things for myself, because like sometimes I started with watercolors, right? And that was very fun. But there were days when I felt like, well, I don't feel like putting, an hour into doing something in the sketchbook, or I just want like no pressure, no thinking for color, no thinking. This is one of those days when I just wanted to do something really simple. But that evolved in illustrations like, I have pages in between like that one. It was really relaxing. And I scanned, before I send the sketchbook to Cody, I scanned all the pieces, and now I'm recreating them in fresco. And I guess for me, that was one of the biggest takeaways. The fact that when you have no pressure, when you are very relaxed, when you're doing art for the sake of art and for fun, you end up discovering new avenues that you would have never explored in the first place. And you would have never thought that, oh, I would enjoy doing this, or I would enjoy this medium, but when you just give yourself time and room to play, it can surprise you in wonderful ways.
Yeah, I mean, it was the same for me, because I think I came into collage because I wanted something that I didn't have to think about a lot either. I had a lot of material to work with. And when I first started in looking at this sketchbook I have now, you can kind of tell it started off with, so this is mine. This is kind of making more just crazy at little abstract type sceneries. But then I remember at some point it clicked. And that's when I started doing my head silhouette from then on. So yeah, so it kind of just forced me to, I would have gotten to collage maybe down the line, but I don't think if it hadn't been for this project. And so it opened up a whole new medium for me. And it did become like relaxing and fun and meditative. It pretty quickly came together after that. It didn't seem to take as long, I don't think, for both of us.
Yeah, I think those pages that you showed are just so beautiful. I think what makes it even more interesting to look at is because you're juxtaposing two concepts, two different color palettes or two material, and that makes it even more interesting. Like Elena, the one you showed where you used ink, that next to a really colored page, I think it was watercolor. It's such a beautiful contrast.
Yes.
I really like seeing that.
I was gonna show you some. Then we had some where it's it was really interesting to see throughout the process how we mirror each other very much so in the mediums that we used and the style, and then where we just went and we picked on different concepts.
I think also in responding to Elena's sketchbook once, I didn't do collage.
Towards the end, I think there is a little bit like in the flowers.
Okay.
But it's a different kind of collage.
I can also imagine something that, because you talked about a timeline, right? Like where you both had your sketchbook, you started filling up the pages on the left, and then when you both finish, you send them to each other. There was a little bit of a deadline, and I can imagine that also gives you some accountability. So whether you have inspiration or whether you're ready to create or not, you just had to fill a page, no matter what comes up. And so I think that can help you just kind of go for it because you have to, and just not make it so perfect.
I agree. Because we're not always on a high, we're not always on a low. And it's so nice when you find someone that can, like, somebody that understands you creatively.
I've also heard from people like in the industry, kind of almost against collaborations. I feel like all of my collaborations, like with Claire and with you, have helped me grow and been so much better and in pulling me through.
I think it's just, I mean, we talked about this in our collaboration episode, that there's just not enough examples of creative collaborations in the industry. And I think that also makes people a bit apprehensive to try something because they're like, I guess I would want to try that, but why are we doing this? Why is no one else doing this? It just really doesn't happen enough that we are able to easily create stuff together. But we have all the means, right? It's so easy to be able to do all of that. But there's not enough examples out there.
Yeah, I think it made it a lot easier having an example to look at. It's almost like setting the parameters, kind of wrapping your mind around what exactly you're going to do. Sometimes it's harder, especially when you haven't seen an example of it before. It's harder to kind of like wrap your mind around.
And did you have any themes? Are there any specific themes with sketchbooks or specific seasons or years?
Well, we just completed this one. We have 2 others that we've kind of started. And we bought the sketchbooks for. We have not completed them though. Life has kind of gotten in the way. I think the first one after this that we were like, oh, let's do fruits and vegetables.
Yes.
And then we have another sketchbook for, I think we got a little ahead of ourselves and we're like, oh, Christmas holiday. And we have the intent to go back. I think it's also a matter of getting our timing right too. Actually are right now working on collaborating on like a food themed. It's different from the sketchbook though. It's I think you should explain it, Elena. It's kind of your baby.
The calendar.
Yeah.
I've seen some sketches. I'm curious to hear more.
That is more of we're keeping each other accountable, and we discussed theme, what's the purpose of the artwork, and then the whole calendar idea came about. And then right now we have a deadline, but meantime we check in with each other about how things are going. I feel like we're kind of using each other as sounding boards, talking about, okay, this is what I came up with for recipes or for the theme, because yes, it is food, but I landed on soups, vegetable soups mostly, and Cody, you're doing pies. It's when you have passion projects, it's so easy to let them fall to the side or put them on the back burner, and so many times it's in those projects that the treasure lies. And this sketchbook project with Cody, like, for me, it's been a constant reminder of why I should keep on doing artwork, just for the fun of it.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite pages from the sketchbooks, like that you're most proud of?
There is one that there are a few that I really like. So this is my favorite of Cody, of Cody's. This is the one that when I see it, I know it sounds so over the top. It's like, I got to pinch myself. I have her original artwork that is like big printed at Surtex.
Was that watercolor or what did you use for that, Cody?
So there are these little, I have them over here. So, and they they stamp and they create like a little circle. You see them used in schools a lot. It's just like ink that's in there.
Oh.
So I did that for the circle part in yellow, and then I like ink over it to create like the line work on top of it.
Oh, that's creative. I like that.
I actually learned about these from Austin Kleon. the author of How to Steal Like an Artist. I gave her, and he mentioned them one time in his newsletter, and I bought them. It's in my portfolio now. Use it. I printed it as a big thing for my booth.
Okay. I knew I recognized that piece somewhere.
One more that I really, really love is fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
For both of us, I love that spread.
Yes.
That looks really good. Is that collage or the left one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's collage.
That's really fun.
And it's interesting because I went on, speaking of what came out of it, I went on and ended up using some of these pieces that look not like much in logo design for a photographer, and some really cool logos came out of it that I love. And I feel like the more of a body of work that you create, the more you open the door for possibilities, and you never know where your path can take you.
Yeah, well said.
Oh, that's one that I really. And if you look at the collage next to it, it's just, I don't know.
A really beautiful composition. Is that the one with the dress that you're talking about?
Yes. And what you said, Claire, really resonated with me about collaborations and how we are made better by them. But I do believe that there is this, maybe, I don't know if misunderstanding around it, but I mean, you don't even have to be best friends. You don't even need to know each other. Like, same thing with Dana and Anne Butera. They never met. And I think that that's what really I found fascinating first when I came across that. We were made to connect with each other. It can help you bring out things that you didn't even think that you have hiding in there.
Yeah, exactly that. I think collaborations show that there's a sense of community that maybe sometimes as artists we don't realize is actually there. And I think it can help you get over a lot of fear as well, or rather help you validate your artistic experience. Or at least I sometimes have that when I'm feeling like a little bit of a creative block of like, well, my sketches are crap. I'm really bad at this. I just feel weird making stuff. But then collaborations can help you realize my creations are valid. Other people feel this way too. And there's a connection that we share, even though we've never met. There's so much that we share in our artistic experience.
I love what you both just said. I agree with everything.
Agreed on everything.
Actually, yes, I agree with everything. I remember you saying this, Elena. I felt the same way. Like when I first got this in the mail, when yours was completed, and it was up to me then to fill it on the opposite page. And when I also got it back from when you completed, each time was like such a treat to go through. It was so exciting each time. I was so excited to just like go through it and see like what we had done and hadn't shown each other how we reacted to each other's page until we got it in the mail once done and complete. So it also was at the same time like just fun, just that mailing of it to each other.
Yeah, it makes it extra special. So Elena, how has this project influenced your artistic relationship together with Cody?
You feel closer to someone. It adds a different layer of trust. I feel like she helps me see different perspectives on things. And you know how you said earlier that sometimes we're like, oh, this is a weird idea. It might be weirder. But when you speak something that's close to your heart from a creative perspective, and somebody's like, oh yeah, I totally get what you're saying, you grow. I don't know, you grow in so many ways, just past the creative side of things. Have I answered? Now, what's your original question again?
Yeah, no, I imagine that you grow individually, but also together, right? Because after this, it also sparked lots of other projects. You're working on this calendar project together now on the recipes. And I think you just learn how to bounce ideas off of each other and keep each other accountable even more. Cody, I was going to ask you, for people who want to try out this kind of collaborative sketchbook project, what tips do you have and how should people go about it?
Well, I think if you have an accountability partner, or it makes it much easier. If not, maybe find your person through like maybe an online community like how we met. And then once you have that, I think it's really just about open to any like type of project ideas that might come to you. And then it could be just as simple as just working alongside each other. It doesn't have to be as involved as like what we did with the sketchbook where we responded and it was like a whole thing. I think those are good places to start.
Or maybe pick a certain theme, right? You did a sketchbook all around fruits and vegetables, for example. Maybe that might help as well to start.
Yeah, what you guys said. And if you find someone who has common goals, as you do, like creatively, and you can be completely different in styles, you can be completely different in the mediums that you favor. I feel like this whole collaboration project is about growing you as an artist. And when you step outside of your comfort zone and outside of the box that you usually put yourself in, that's where you can find all those gold nuggets that otherwise you wouldn't stumble upon because you're always making the same kind of choices. And even your guys' collaboration, I thought that was so cool how you just reached out and you put out there what you were looking for. And then you guys came together and you're, different countries. But if you find things that you have in common, you build on those. And such beautiful things can come out of just that.
Yeah. And do you have any tips for trying to find a collaborator? What else could people do, or where could they find collaborators, you think?
I think that like we got to know each other through work and we kind of chose each other. And I was thinking of the two of you guys, how you were in the same group. Obviously that group, it's built on similar values. And I think that just based on that it can give you clues about what kind of people hang out in a certain community. The person you're finding in that space is going to have values that are mirrored that space or that group. So think about the things that are important to you and look for communities that value those things or build on those things.
And also, you can also look locally as well, like based on your interest. I've got into sewing, and like a friend introduced me to her friend, and we'd never met before.
It is a great tip to look locally, because it's sometimes even easier to make a connection in person. And when it comes to exchanging sketchbooks, something physical, it would be even easier to do it in person. So there's plenty of opportunity to find collaborations as long as you have something in common, right? So even just going to and thinking about like, where could you find artistic collaborations locally? If you go to like networking events, illustration events, workshops, whatever you can think of, that would be a great place to start. If you're in a small place, that's obviously a little bit more difficult, but there's always something, right?
Local libraries usually have classes or they host, and we tend to keep art very close to our hearts. And if you build a little bit of a relationship first, like we just tend to gravitate towards certain people. And once you start building that, then the chances are that people are going to be okay with trusting you with what they do. So finding people locally might be even more fun and make things easier.
Yeah. If you were to do the sketchbook project again, buy a new sketchbook, start it again together, what would you still want to try?
I think I want to finish the two that we've kind of started, but because we specifically chose themes for those two, which I think would be great. And I think that was one of the things that when we talked about these next two, we did want to be a little bit more specific because I think we thought it'd be a little bit easier.
So you're saying that you have a theme for this one or not?
With two that we have already bought sketchbooks for, we just haven't really started them. On fruits and vegetables and one holiday. So yeah, we just haven't completed them.
What is the biggest takeaway from this for both of you?
Don't overthink it. No pressure whatsoever. Chances are that you're going to learn new things about yourself. You're going to explore techniques that you didn't think of exploring before. And you get a fresh perspective on your own art.
Yeah, I love that.
Myself. With what I responded with, I'd be like, oh, that's not so bad.
I'm definitely loving this project, and I'm saying you should try it too.
That's exactly what we wanted to end the video with, like to find a way to encourage people to find collaborators to do stuff like this, not just encourage collaborating, just to find ways to spark someone's artistic journey, because it could help people in numerous ways.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's so fun watching you both. The way you guys came together, to me, it's like the ultimate example right there, because it involves so many responsibilities and showing up in a whole new way than if you just show up to do art, something that you're comfortable with. You guys really push through. Just the way Cody was talking to me about your collaboration and how you can grow. And I think that ultimately what a collaboration brings to you, growth. And it helps you see the things that you do well and appreciate them too.
I think that's definitely something that you would see in whether it's an artistic collaboration or something, what we're doing, which is a creative collaboration, but differently, that you bring out the best in each other and you help each other grow, for sure.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Elena. And you should do the conclusion, Cody. Much better at that.
Oh, I am? Okay.
Yeah.
Make sure you check out the collaboration video if you want to learn more about collaborating. But we hope this was a good case study. And thank you for joining us. It was a pleasure.
And that's
I think that's it. Yep.